Dear grade 5 students, today we are going to explain exercise B on page 17 and page 18 on your practice book. In exercise B, you have to combine each pair of sentences into a sentence with a compound subject or a compound predicate. Let's look at the first sentence. A rich man heard the story of the poor woman. A rich man felt jealous. We observe here in this sentence or in these two sentences that we have the same subject, which is a rich man. So here in the first sentence, a rich man heard the story of the poor woman. So the verb is heard. Who heard the story of the poor woman? The rich man. And in the second one, a rich man felt jealous. Who felt jealous? The rich man. So in these two sentences, we have the same subject. So we write it once with the two predicates, the two different predicates, which is hear the story of the poor woman, felt jealous. So the same subject is doing two things. First, he heard the story of the poor woman, and then he felt jealous. So we write these two sentences, or we combine them using the compound predicate because we have the same subject. So it becomes, a rich man heard the story of the poor woman and felt jealous. In the second sentence, the rich man disguised in humble clothes. The second one is the king disguised in humble clothes. In the first sentence, who disguised in humble clothes? The rich man. In the second one, who disguised in humble clothes? The king. So here, in this pair of sentences, we have the same verb, which is disguised, or the same predicate, disguised in humble clothes, but different subjects. In the first one, we have the rich man, and in the second one, we have the king. So we have the same predicate, but different subjects. So we write the predicate once, and we combine the subjects. So it becomes the rich man and the king disguised in humble clothes. In the third one, as soon as he saw the king, the rich man rushed into the street. As soon as he saw the king, the rich man invited the king for dinner. So here we have the same preposition, which is as soon as he saw the king in both sentences. In the first sentence, we look at the verb which is rushed into the street. Who rushed into the street? The rich man. In the second one, the verb is invited. The predicate is invited the king for dinner. Who invited the king for the dinner? The rich man. So the subject here in these two sentences is the same, which is the rich man. We have different verbs, rushed and invited, which means that we have two different predicates for the same subject. So we must try the same subject for two predicates. So we write the sentence using compound predicate. So it becomes, as soon as he saw the king, the rich man rushed into the street and invited the king for dinner, because the subject, the rich man, did two verbs or did two things, rushed into the street and invited the king for dinner. Sentence number 4. The rich man's housekeeper cooked delicious chicken soup. So in this sentence, the verb is cooked. Cooked delicious chicken soup. Who cooked delicious chicken soup? The rich man's housekeeper, or the housekeeper of the rich man cooked delicious chicken soup. In the second sentence, the rich man's housekeeper told the king to have his full. So where's the verb here in this sentence? Told. So the predicate is told the king to have his full. Who told the king to have his full? The rich man's housekeeper, or the housekeeper of the rich man told the king to have his full. So here again we have the same subject but different predicates. So we write the subject once and we combine the predicates using a conjunction. So it becomes the rich man's housekeeper cooked delicious chicken soup and told the king to have his full. Sentence number 5. The rich man pretended not to know who the guest was. His housekeeper pretended not to know who the guest was. In the first sentence, the verb is pretended. The predicate is pretended not to know who the guest was. Who pretended? The rich man pretended. And the second one, his housekeeper pretended not to know who the guest was. Again, we have the same verb here, pretended, and the same predicate, pretended not to know who the guest was, but who pretended in the second sentence? The housekeeper of the rich man, or his housekeeper. Here, his is related to the rich man or refers to the rich man. So here we have the same verbs, which means the same predicates, but different subjects. So here we have a compound subject sharing the same predicate. So the rich man and his housekeeper pretended not to know who the guest was. In sentence number 6, the peasant received money from the king. In this sentence, who received? The peasant received money from the king. So the verb is received and the predicate is received money from the king. And the second one, the rich man received money from the king. Again, we have here the same verb and the same predicate, received money from the king. Who received money from the king in this sentence? The rich man. So here, in these two sentences, the peasant and the rich man received money from the king. So here we have a compound subject sharing the same predicate. In sentence number 7, the king left the rich man's house. The king headed back to the palace. So here we have left. Who left the rich man's house? The king. The king left the rich man's house. And here, headed. Who headed back to the palace? The king. So here we have the same subject doing two different things or actions. So the king left the rich man's house and headed back to the palace, because here we have the same subject doing two different things. In number 8, the king's men told the story. Who told the story? The king's men, or the men of the king. And in the second one, the villagers told the story. Who told the story here? The villagers. So here we have the same verb and the same predicate, but two different subjects. So the king's men and the villagers told the story. So this is how we combine